Hello everyone, and welcome to something a little bit more different, where in the new season of Dragonflight, I will slowly be learning how to get better, slowly learning the matchups, and hopefully climbing up the ranks to get some mounts, some achievements, and kind of just hit some own personal goals of mine. I've been playing Demonology, which I found is probably the least popular of the three Warlock specs. I know Destruction is huge, especially with their tier set, so we'll go on this journey together. You'll kind of see whether I get worse, get better, or just lose my mind to getting 3 melee solo shuffle games every single time. Going into this first match, what we have here is a warrior, unholy, DK, affliction warlock, demonology warlock, and the 2 healers. One thing I've learned is, especially in solo shuffle, a lot of your teammates won't peel for you, especially at lower levels, so you kind of got to learn how to peel for yourself, which is something I've slowly been getting better at. And as you'll see right here, I'm trying to fight off the other warlock. It just kind of, warlock versus warlock is always a good time, because it's 2 people trying to fear each other, trying to silence each other. And as you'll see, a lot of this match just turned into me and the warlock having a 1v1 with everyone kind of just watching and being a part of it. Now with the Unholy Death Knights, what I've learned is you kind of just have to survive the first minute or so, and then you're kind of good. Warriors will stick to you like glue, kind of like Demon Hunters, although Demon Hunters kind of, they do double the damage, I find, of warriors, so I'd much rather face a warrior. As you see, I'm going in on the warlock. We're both fearing each other. I'm trying to line of sight his dots of him putting them on me. I know the dots still damage as I go. I'm kind of ignoring the other DPS right now because I'm really focused on dealing with this warlock, because I know he does insane amounts of damage. I played warlock a little bit in the past with affliction. What I found is you can usually top the meters just by existing. However, I find affliction kind of is missing that execute button, so you're kind of at the mercy of your team to finish somebody off, because you can keep everyone at 50%, but you don't really have that thing where it's like you're gonna pound someone from 50% to 0. So just casually, these times where I'm able to stand in the back and just free damage is honestly my dream. It's very rare that I find a Demonology actually gets to set up a proper Tyrant, but I think I get the opportunity here. I get this all set up, I'm able to CC from a distance, and we're able to take down that warrior for the first win. Having the Unholy on your team, especially with a Demo, I find is kind of amazing, because you get to flood the enemy team with so many nameplates. And I know there's the option where you can change your tab targeting to only target players, but I notice a lot of people don't do that, because I've had a couple people complain that every time they're trying to play, they have all my imps, my Vile Fiends, my Fell Guards, my Dreads, everything is on their screen. So having an Unholy and a Demonology together is kind of amazing. Right here, I'm asking them to just peel the Death Knight, because I'm not too scared of the Warrior. I'm a lot more scared of the Unholy being able to just unleash and get his thing on. What I am worried about here is the Warrior jumping right in, which is another thing I've noticed about Warriors, is if you're against them, just wait for them to come to you, because they will. He kind of jumps in there. Usually as Demonology, I want to just get the full Tyrant off, pop my buffs, stun them, and kind of just CC them so they can't use any defensives or healing. However, the other Warlock's doing a really good job of both dotting me up and then interrupting basically anything I'm doing here. Me and the Warrior are actually kind of pumping here, but this is the danger zone right here for Death Knights. This is when his whole army is coming up, everything's coming up, and every single time, look at all these nameplates. This is insane. So here I was trying to spam my gateway, but I didn't know that the gateway was one way. I just assumed it was 2-way. I don't know if that's a PvP only thing, or I'm just terrible. I do take the Obelisk talent just to give myself more cast speed, as well as my demons more attack speed. If you can unleash everything with that, you can. I've nuked enough people really, really fast. Here I think I can get the DK, but unfortunately our healer does go down. Just that army, that little window where he has the army is insane. Okay, so this was the first one where it was 2 Warlocks. So I've experienced enough rounds where it's 3 melee and 1 ranged. It is terrible for the ranged. I don't know if anyone watching has played against 2 Warlocks before as 2 melee, but it is not fun. As we'll see here, we're able to kind of just kite them forever. The dots keep going. It's kind of like the Demonology makes up for Affliction's weaknesses, and Affliction makes up for Demonology's weaknesses, because Affliction's really good at getting to 50%, but no execute. Demonology is really good at finishing off that last bit, but we kind of just don't have the setup time. But 2 Warlocks able to cause chaos, mass peel, fears, I kind of get a lot of time to just set up shop here. We have 2 gateways going different ways. We have our circles, and we'll see this the Warrior and Death Knight. You can kind of see them just running all over the place. Now, if you guys, for any Warlocks out there that are kind of judging me on this, I don't have my curses on right now because my logic is I'm still learning all this stuff that I don't know how to do already. So I feel like if I tried mixing in all these curses and all this stuff, I feel like I would miss out on a lot of things I should be doing. So it's kind of this thing where every day I'm adding a little bit more. So once I get used to what I'm supposed to do, I add a little bit more, rather than overloading myself with everything at once. Like, when I first started, I was just focusing on damage. Then I snuck in my Mortal Coils. Then I snuck in my Fears. All these things. And it felt like a much more better progression rather than trying to do everything at once when I don't know how to do the basics at all. So you'll see we're kind of out of the window where DK has their entire army, so now we're just in the kiting game. You can see by the damage, Demonology kind of shoots up there, but Affliction's going to start rising up too because he has dots on everything. Right now, I'm just focused on jumping all over the map. I know DK doesn't have mobility, so as long as I can kind of keep away, I have this combo where I do the Mortal Coil into Fear, and while they're feared, I can unleash all my dogs, my Vile Fiend, my Tyrant. I get everything going. Shadow Fury. My defensive cooldowns allow me to not get stunned and not be interrupted, so I don't know about the stun one, actually. I know the interrupt one is good, so we can see them all super low here. I go for the kill, but that's actually the Affliction Warlock that's going to get that one. You can see by the damage, they were not able to touch us that entire time, and our healer really didn't need to do much healing, but Warlocks in general just naturally heal. We heal a lot for ourselves, so I think a lot of that time, the healer is just able to focus himself. Now, for this matchup, we're against the Affliction Warlock again, and the Unholy. This is the scary one. I hate playing against Disciplined Priest because they never seem to die, so I never really focus them. And they have a lot of instant casts, so it's like waiting for a chance to interrupt them. I'd much rather just focus on somebody else. Now, my logic here going into this round was, as I've said, Affliction will keep us at around 50%, but he won't have the execute. So I feel like with Unholy, you just kind of have to survive that opening window they have. But I just realized they have a million health. They have way more health than I do. I think I'm sitting at like 900k even at this point. I think I'm missing the the attachment on my belt that gives me a bunch of stamina, so I'll have to get that. This is the thing you gotta be worried about when you run in early, especially versus a DK. He's gonna pull you in. He's gonna have his entire army, and you can't really do much. Like we can see in the damage, his Whirlwind's actually doing insane damage. But I think this is the round where it literally felt like me and the Warlock having a 1v1, and then there was just kind of 4 other people in here. But you see, I'm always looking for the interrupts. Destruction, I know, is one where they have multiple schools of magic, so that one's not too bad. I try not to interrupt the Soul Rot because that's nature, and if you interrupt that, he could literally just cast anything else, so you gotta be careful about that. Interrupting the Soul Rot actually doesn't do a crazy amount. I'd rather just interrupt something else. So yeah, right here, I got my Tyrant already in. I got my dogs setting up, so now I'm gonna put my Obelisk down. I'm gonna get the casting speed going. I'm waiting right now on all my CC, all my interrupts, but it's coming right back up right as my Tyrant is coming. So the thing I go for here is I get all my dogs out, I get my Vile Fiend, I get my Imps, I get everything, and then as soon as that Tyrant is out, I spam my CC down, because if you can stop them from using defensives, using health stones, any of that stuff, there's a chance that with Demo you can kind of just nuke them instantly, and that's where we're going to see her. I get all my Imps down, I get my Tyrants, I get my dogs, and then I'm going to start spamming them with CC. And he has a lot of mobility. Warlocks have a lot of mobility, but they don't really have much in terms of... Once you get everything on them and they've kind of used all their mobility and their defensives, they're kind of dead at that point. So that's what we see there. We just kind of mow them down. And Demonology is a lot like Unholy, where we have that small window where we can just pull out a bunch of demons, send out a bunch of damage, but then we go on a little bit of a down turn in terms of damage. But I believe we can do it a little bit more often than Unholy. So it's kind of those things where as long as you survive that initial Tyrant and every Tyrant after that, you don't really have to worry about the Demonology Warlock too much in between. So going into the 5th round, I basically just need to win one of these last 2 rounds, but I am kind of worried here. I do like that I'm with the DK, but I like the rounds where it's me and the Warlock together, because those ones legit felt free. So how I do my openings here, I always put the gateway down, going from side to side. I put my circle down, and then I do have my Soul Siphons to get my 2 procs instantly. If I'm against 2 melee, I'll just proc that right away as well as my Obelisk. I kind of just see what the melee's doing. If they're running towards me instantly, there's a lot of melees like jumping in and instantly getting on you, and you might not get the chance to set up your portal or your Obelisk. So I like just getting that set up right away, walking out, using my proc to get 5, and then I can set up a lot of my Tyrants. I have my Mortal Coil, I have my Stun, I have a lot of different things to allow me to set up here. So we'll see, I already got my Tyrant out, and now we're playing the game of I can't get a single cast off. There's a lot of stuns, there's a lot of fears, there's a lot of interrupts, and right now, the downside of playing against Unholy is he's trying to execute somebody. He's not really in a position to peel for me, and getting away from a warrior is pretty rough. Could I have done it better? Probably, but usually the combo I do is either Mortal Coil or Felguard Stun into a Fear, and then I start getting my other stuff out. Now, the initial Tyrant is pretty easy to get out because you have everything up. You have the whole map to work with. Getting the second Tyrant out, that's spooky. So, as you can see here, I still have my Obelisk, I still have my Tyrant, I have everything up. Right now, I just need a little bit of a breather, but I don't think I get it. It's very hard versus the Warrior because you want to go around the pillar to get away, but you also don't want to line sight your healer, but you also don't want to be in line of sight because then you get charged by the Warrior. However, he's playing Fury, and I was told Fury isn't nearly as good as Arms. I don't know if only Arms gets access to Spear Bastion, but whichever the ability is that locks you in, that is the bane of my existence. So yeah, this is one of those rounds where normally I could do enough damage on the fly where my teammate can eventually get a kill. However, the Unholy seems like he already used all of his damage, and they have an Affliction Warlock who does passive damage a lot better than I do. So right here, I'm just trying to set up a Panic Tyrant. I don't have my Unending Resolve, so I can't actually make myself silence and stun immune. Right here, I do have my Grimoire Felguard, so that is another stun. So here I'm going to go for a last-ditch effort to kind of get him, but this Warrior, I could kind of tell by this point we're not winning this round because I have no defensives up. This Warrior is not getting off me, and we lose that one. We go into the 6th round at 3 wins. So we need to win this last one, but as you can see, it is me and the Warlock. This one gets kind of spooky, actually. We were joking in chat here that if we lose this one, we need to quit Warlock because, yeah, no, realistically, you should win that versus 2 melee, 2 Warlocks who I think both have been performing really well. So this one should be free, but I think the enemy team, they did this last time. Like, they've had this matchup before, so I think they learned. Last time they divided and tried to divide and conquer. They had one on me, one on the other Warlock. So that's what I was expecting this time, but they played it a little different. I was playing pretty scared here. This Warrior I go up pretty close to, because honestly I'll be frank, I'm not too worried about this Warrior. There was the round last time, but that was a different team comp with the 2 Warlocks. But here I notice, I get a little scared, but if you notice, they're not going for me. So here's the thing. One thing I get really annoyed at when I play Warlock and play ranged and there's multiple melee and I'm getting trained is when my teammate isn't healing. So I get my original Tyrant out, and then I focus every bit of CC that I have. I know that we have the passive damage, we win later in the game. So I'm just focused on CCing as much as humanly possible. I'm not honestly worried about my damage. You can see the meters I actually juice up right here. I get a lot of damage out, but our healer gets super, super, super low. So right now, I'm just on CC duty. You can see I got my Fears, I got my Mortal Coils, I got my Felguard Stun. I am doing everything in my power to keep these nerds away from my team. But then they start going on me, but I'm not too worried. I got my portal around the corner, I got my defensives. They're really not going to touch me too much, and the Death Knight, I don't know if I get him here, actually, but there's a few close calls. I think we get them all a little bit low, and this is the joys of playing with an Affliction Warlock, is that the enemy team will always be super low, but then it's kind of on you to finish them off. This is the point where I have all my cooldowns back. I got my dogs, I got my Vile Fiend, gonna stun. We get the Tyrants. Now, the Tyrant's a little different from what it was before. It used to hit for, like, over 150k. Not so much anymore. So that was the first episode of me slowly learning Arena. If you have any advice for me, be sure to spam it down below. I'll be sure to read all comments, and I will probably put out the next episode in a couple days once I finally get a queue, because Lord knows it takes way too long to get a queue. All right, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Godspeed. Stay safe.